Yo, yo! What's up, good people? The boys from the Phantom Geek Zone. We're back again with another episode. As usual, I'm Izzy.
I'm Riyaal.
And today we're going to be talking about Ant-Man 1.
So MCU
Continuing
recap series.
with our
yeah.
MCU recap series. Definitely. Was pretty excited / intrigued, with this one. I liked it from the jump. It's like in that, not necessarily underrated, but it's like a quiet praise
Yeah.
that it's always had from the
It's so
start.
it's you could say if you will, it's like it's a cult.
Yeah, it's got a
cult-
young little
yeah,
cult
culty,
classic following,
within the MCU framework,
Yes,
obviously.
yes, and the sequels have only served to raise it higher and higher, essentially. But all that said, you still never know, and I mean, we say this just about every episode. When we actually go in and watch, what is your takeaway going to be? Is it going to live up to the hype? If it's something that was hated, does that ring true still? And all that stuff. But of course, we're going to be breaking it all down right here, right now. So yeah, give it to me, man. What is your takeaway rather from this?
I haven't watched it in ages, and that is probably my opening line
course.
for all the movie
Yeah.
reviews we've been doing. So I was really excited to watch it again because I remember it, being a fun movie.
Okay.
Wasn't disappointed. Yeah. I
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I forgot how ruthless or cerebral or
Yeah.
psychopathic Darren Cross was.
Yeah.
Yellow Jacket, which is kind of a pleasant surprise because I don't remember him as a villain at all. I didn't even know what his face was like, And I saw it here and I was like, cool,
Yeah.
bald man who's slightly sociopathic.
Not doing well for my people, but it's fine, But yeah,
Yeah.
it's the MCU way, Obadiah Stane, Darren Cross, something about the baldies.
And pleasantly surprised that they had a villain who was batshit crazy,
Yeah.
if you will. So I think that was a nice little. Okay. Again, I like the story. Very, very, very simple.
Yes.
It's a heist movie, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It is definitely a heist movie. It's not an action movie. It's not an adventure movie. It's a heist movie.
You thought you could stand in the way of the future with the heist? So yes, definitely a heist movie.
Or was it like when Hank Pym was like, or he was talking to Hank Pym, what can I do? I'm tired of stealing and whatever. I need you to steal.
Just steal some. Yeah. It's like, no, man, I want to build my life. I'm tired of stealing some shit. It's like, what do you need me to do?
Yeah, steal some
Need
shit.
you steal some shit? Yeah.
So it's a heist movie, which is it's a novel. I think it's the first time we had a heist movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, maybe kind of a heist movie.
Not quite.
More a space western.
Yeah,
I would say.
This leaned right into the classic
heist movie,
which is another departure from the MCU. Actually, to your earlier point. Okay. Yeah.
And it's a nice change of pace because I'm thinking chronologically, the way we're doing our reviews, it's straight after Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And I think even release dates might be quite close after Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
And before Civil War, definitely before Civil War.
Of course, yeah.
So it was really a nice change of pace. Whereas Age of Ultron, we said it's grounded, but it is grandiose and a global scale.
Yes.
Whereas Ant-Man is very liken it back to Iron Man 1.
Yeah,
very small
young
scale.
Street level. Yeah, this is
street
lower.
level.
Young street level. Yeah.
Street level. So here it has global implications, but the story is contained within a street level facet, and it's quite self-contained, which I really enjoyed. I think there's only one other big MCU character, which was Falcon. Sam Wilson.
Shout out.
Yeah, or Captain America, if you will. You take your pick. So it's quite self-contained, which I really enjoyed. It had elements where it showed other characters, Howard Stark and Peggy Carter being a few of them. When they chatted about S.H.I.E.L.D. So I really enjoyed that. And for me, as much as it was a heist movie, it was quirky.
Yeah.
The comedy wasn't your Thor Ragnarok type, where forced and every second thing is a joke.
Yeah.
But it is a quirky comedy.
Yes.
Quirky comedy elements, I should say. So on the whole, really enjoyed it. Elements I didn't really like, I don't know. Maybe as we're chatting, it'll come to mind.
Cool.
Trying to be positive these days. So, but
we gotta honest above all things.
Yeah.
But now certainly, I'm not too dissimilar from your take. The one thing though, when you said you were keen for this, I think the right word, I was trying to figure it out earlier, is more nervous on my end. Nervous about whether it'll still live up after all these years, and surprise, surprise, it actually did.
Yeah.
Great script, as you mentioned. Great script. That, nice, self-contained. Like, there's a very clear and direct vision, and they went for it, executed it. That's that. It was one of those, every now and then, look, Avengers we get once in a while, but when you do have them, as you mentioned, it's a big movie.
Yeah.
And then, usually it's not too far from another one. So it's like, what do you slot in between, and at what scale and whatever. So this was sandwiched between two major movies, but it held its own.
Yeah.
So definitely, give it a lot of credit to that. So with this one, our elephant in the room is situated in the writer's room. And
behind the scenes.
Behind the scenes, Edgar Wright.
Yes. Cornetto trilogy, if you don't know.
Hot Fuzz. The
Shaun of the Dead.
Scott Pilgrim.
No. Cornetto trilogy.
Okay,
Hot Fuzz.
finished, yeah.
Hot Fuzz, The World's End, and Shaun of the Dead. Also, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, which I have definitely mentioned many times in this review series. Go watch it.
One of the latest ones in Baby Driver on his roster. Yeah, he did that one as well. So those are the movies
and you can see it's kind of like
it's got his play.
Vibe,
yes,
his vibe too.
It's those are movies that he wrote and directed. So he's kind of that guy. He writes his movies, he directs his movies. And so at some point, the MCU is like, hey man, let's get this thing going. And by some point, I mean around 10 years prior to the release of this movie.
Oh, is it like a Deadpool kind of vibe?
Yeah, so for the longest, keep in mind, right, even Iron Man, which dropped in 2008, was kicked off by Marvel Studios, which was new in around 2005, 2004. But an Iron Man movie had technically been in the works even as far back as like the 90s or something. Yeah. So here and there's always something they're trying to put together and whatever, whether it's MCU or not. But I think this was more under MCU. So for about a good 10 years, Edgar Wright is, working on the script. He's developing this movie, does the whole thing. And then, surprise, surprise, Marvel steps in and does the big bully thing, which they've done to, so many other people. They try to steamroll him, overtake his vision and creativity, and he's like, nah, fam, I'm out. And when he left, they brought in other writers and director. Funny thing is, I knew about that part of the story. When checking the credits after watching this, I noticed, do I even get into this, or is it too, very, very briefly, the whole, you'll find it'll say screenplay by. Screenplay, that's the actual script. And then sometimes they'll even go as far as saying story by, and that sort of thing.
And it's usually the director as well.
Not always, it'll depend on which one you have, but it's kind of to my point, which is there's certain caveats that are put in place as far as how you distinguish between the two. Story by, of course, if you just make a suggestion, then fine, other people can run with the script and make the actual script. However, for your name to appear anyway actually on the credits list, you need to have made a significant contribution. So the reason why every director in all their own movies will have familiar elements is because once they get the script, then they'll say, okay, I want to do this, that, whatever. But you don't always get those directors on the written or story by credit because they just guided the ship. You didn't really add any new elements or not significant enough for your name to be on there. Then you get situations like this one where someone actually does the screenplay and then it gets steamrolled, shuffled into something else. But if they keep enough of your elements, you still get a credit. So that's why Edgar Wright's name is on there. That being said, an interesting name I saw was Adam McKay. I was like, he directed, he did a lot with Will Ferrell back in the day. They had a studio and then they actually had a falling out, so they work separately now. But Adam McKay, Anchorman, the other guys, Step Brothers, he was that comedy director. Granted, he's gone into the more dramatic direction. But yeah, so I don't know if that means he, in a similar fashion, was in the running to maybe write and direct and then end up leaving or what. That's something I'll have to check separately. But I was intrigued by, seeing that.
Okay.
So yes, this is an Edgar Wright, script originally, but he wasn't that involved by the time this thing, pretty much came to life. And Paul Rudd actually is one of the guys, again, speaking about Deadpool, went and helped, polish, clean up the script, punch it up and all that stuff. So it's a whole spaghetti sort of mess as far as how this thing came about. But hey man, all of which came to deliver this great movie. But certainly sad that Edgar Wright couldn't, see his vision fully come to life. And even visually, they clearly, took inspiration, shall we say, from him. It's still always going to be an interesting thing as far as what, he would have actually brought to the big screen.
And we'll never know.
And it also speaks to the progressively worse sequels that you get in the Ant-Man series, because now that has nothing to do with Edgar Wright at all, thereby highlighting his significance. But anyway, elephant in the room.
We'll talk about
addressed.
that later.
The movie itself, it was still a fun and entertaining watch. I mean, look, Paul Rudd, Michael Douglas. What more could you ask for? They were such an amazing driving force for this movie. Unfortunately, I always forget the homie's name, but the guy who played Cross.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, he appears quite a bit here and there, and this is also quite a time where he was
role,
hot in the industry, and so I'm glad he also came in, did his thing quite amazingly in this one. And characters, story points, what are some of the specific elements you want to highlight with this?
I think Michael Douglas as Hank Pym. I don't think you could do any better than that.
Man, yeah.
Because it's like with Tony Stark and Robert Downey. I feel like he's kind of playing himself. If that makes sense. So it just comes naturally.
Okay. Never thought of it that way.
Yeah. Scott Lang.
Yes.
What more can we
Paul
say?
Rudd.
We love Paul Rudd.
Oh, man. Yeah,
man who doesn't age.
Yeah.
Because he's been to the quantum realm.
Yeah, touche.
No, I mean, Paul Rudd, it's perfect. The role is perfect for him, just to be quirky.
Yes,
Quirky and serious at the same time.
Perfect embodiment there.
Yeah, and Evangeline Lilly, right?
I don't recall her name, unfortunately. No.
Hope.
Yeah, I was going to say with the
Evangeline
H.
Lilly. Yeah, she played a role well as well.
Yes.
Not necessarily a standout, but fit into the story well.
Yeah.
And yes, it was a comedic type of movie. And we have talked about Cross and how he portrayed. So I'm not going to elaborate too much more on that. But also the comic relief, the three guys.
Oh, yeah.
Luis and the other two guys. Like,
T.I. is in the Marvel universe. Do you know how crazy of a statement that is? Like, But yeah, man, shout out to the homie T.I. there. Yeah.
Michael Pena.
I'm just starting to learn his name, and then I forgot it.
I know who you're talking about. It's the other
we spoke about him, being in all these comic book movies. And yes, Michael Pena definitely stand out.
Yeah,
stand out.
Yeah. I mean, all I remembered was him telling the stories.
Yes.
Which is fine. Those are great. But also, like, just his character, like his comic relief.
The antics.
Yeah.
And I don't know if he's actually done a comedy before this, come to think of it.
Is he more of a serious type?
Yeah, no. Just about I've always known him super serious roles. Shooter with Mark Wahlberg is the first time I recall seeing him. He popped up in the Jack Ryan series recently. Just about every time, man. Was he in Lincoln Lawyer? I can't remember now. The movie, I think, but he's always done serious roles.
He just killed it. I felt like he stole the show here a little bit.
Yeah.
With his stories like my friend this, my friend that.
Yeah. And they're like, hey, just give us the facts. Hey, that's it, nothing more. Yeah. So chilling with my friend, right? And then
and then he's like, just to tell you. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So just tell him, tell her, tell him, tell me that. Yes. Yeah.
So I mean, obviously, apart from that, even just his him being the security guard as well.
Yeah. Because again, I remembered him more for the storytelling, but I was like, no, man, his full portrayal is pretty spot on. Yeah.
And I guess it fits into the quirky bunch of burglars.
Yes,
not
yes,
crooks.
yes.
What I also liked was like, Scott. Oh, we're still doing characters. I think that's the main.
That's pretty much
That's pretty much
the
it.
whole
There
cast.
isn't
Yeah,
anyone
then
else.
it's just like the mom and the
Yeah.
stepdad, but yeah.
Yeah.
Significantly
Bobby Cannavale,
speaking, these are.
Judy Greer.
Huh?
No, I'm saying the mom and the stepdad. Like they're well known names as well. Like
Yeah, the faces at
Faces,
least. And then,
so-
yeah. Julie Greer is
and
the mom.
Bobby
and then
Cannavale, I think. Yeah.
Bobby, I always remember
Yeah.
the name. The surname, always trips me up.
Mary
there.
Meg to
So-
Roseburn, bro.
Dog, I was gonna, every time I see him, I'm like, shout out, you
Yeah.
did well for yourself. So,
Even the daughter, Cassie, like I've seen her in a few movies where she's still young.
I don't recall seeing her
Probably
elsewhere.
like an Adam Sandler movie or something.
But as far as portrayal,
Yeah.
definitely she so heartwarming and
it's like, but she'll tell you exactly how it is.
yeah,
And you're
she
like,
added
"What?"
to that tug of war
Yeah.
relationship as far as Paul Rudd trying to do right and then being pulled into all these crazy situations and whatever. But yeah, there isn't anything much more to add. That's the thing about this movie that I realized upon rewatching. I feel like as much as I still enjoy it, I maybe enjoyed it more the first time around. Yeah, I may have dropped a round or two. And I think our discussion will also reveal this in the sense that there's not that much to say about it.
Yeah.
It's like,
well-
you did a
well
good
worth.
job. I like this, I like that. And then, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. That's kind of where then my conflict around it comes in. But we'll see if an answer will reveal itself as far as that's concerned. For me, and to avoid echoing what you said, I will say I liked is it the science bit of it or what? Where the ants came in on the one front. It's like, you've got these variety of ants.
This one can do that. that
Yeah,
can do
these
that,
ones fly, these ones bite, these ones are crazy, these ones, able to literally use the word architecture, and then the ones that do the
then they
little
show the
bridges
bridge,
and
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, so things like that, I enjoyed.
Even just that first heist when he stole the suit.
Yes,
like-
that's the second element I was going to get to, which is the
The knowledge, like
I struggle to find the proper word for it, but we are definitely talking about the same thing, like execution again, for lack of a better term. Like the quick thinking, but even before then, like the planning of it, which is what I like about his merry band of bandits. Like they're crazy, they're quirky, but at the end of the day, they all know their stuff. If it's gathering information, if it's messing with the electronics, he's of course electrical engineer. The driving. The quick thinking, like, okay, fine, I can't do this. I'm gonna melt this with the liquid nitrogen, whatever. The acrobatics, I was like, this guy was on his Jackie Chan.
Even the homie was like,
He was on his Jackie Chan, busy jumping on walls like it's nothing, and and outside just climbing up and stuff. I was like, nah, that's pretty sick. So for me, it's like, it's easy to take those things for granted, but if you contextualize and you think about the bigger picture, not all heist movies do that. It's like you do. They sometimes do the simple version of whatever their skill set is. I'm the locksmith or what locks expert, and you're just there with your key. That's it. But this guy, there's
he was like,
an
I don't
added
know how to
layer
open
to
this lock.
everything,
I'll
man.
figure it out.
Yeah,
like with the
dog.
fingerprint as well.
Yes, he's like, damn it, this thing requires a fingerprint. He's like, he ain't saying nothing about that. And then fine, he just goes, does the thing. Get your tape there, get the cooking and whatnot, and then you lift the fingerprint. So man, the smarts that were coming through, because again, electrical engineer,
Masters in electrical.
masters even. So it tells me he's got intellect, but as far as actually showing us, and not boring us to death with some speech that highlights that. I think, I enjoyed that
And
quite
in fact,
a lot.
he was scouted by Hank Pym.
Dude, there's scouting and there's stalking. This guy is definitely, in the stalker territory. Because I'm thinking, just now, what? And you realize, he's been following his trajectory in the story and this and that, whatever. Like, damn. And he's like, but I also like that they made it make sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a happenstance. He said, when you broke into that particular facility,
impossible.
then I knew that, nah. Let me keep an eye on you. And then he followed him throughout his prison sentence and all of that stuff. I was like, aha, okay. Also, between that and them showing
But
this
it's-
guy's smarts.
But it's also Paul Rudd or Scott Lang's self-awareness when he talked to Hope. It's like, there's a reason you're not wearing a suit. I'm
Thank
expendable.
you. I wanted to mention that
He's
as
not
well.
just an idiot. He's
Yes, because there was the
self-aware as
whole
well.
thing where he's like, because it clocked for me as well. He said this guy is close to figuring this particle out, right, and shrinking and whatnot. What he is not aware of is this actually serves a function, the helmet, which is to protect your brain and whatever. I was like, damn. And then when Ant-Man asked Hank Pym, why aren't you wearing the
Because I
suit?
can't.
And he's like, nah, I've worn it for so long, it's taken its toll on my mind. And I'm like, aha. Then when it gets to the daughter now
Yeah,
saying,
bro,
why
yeah.
can't I? And when he kept saying, and I'm like, all those
Yeah.
things put together. He doesn't want to put her at risk. But again, back to the smarts. Him just saying, can't you see? I'm the expendable one.
yeah.
I was like, brilliant. And it's a lesser extent to how they usually do it, but I also like that they went there and
Yeah.
acknowledge it, faced it directly, and not just have it be subtle and him just, don't question me and whatever. He's like, nah, man, this is why. Which only serves to, shall we say, not necessarily a highlight, right? But it just speaks to Scott's not only self-awareness, but the desperation as well. That
Yeah, it does, yeah.
I'm now putting my life at risk. I know, but at the same time, I understand the bigger picture as to why I'm doing
Doing
it.
it for my daughter.
Yeah. So I think, there's a subtle poignancy to that element, The training montages were pretty fun.
Yeah, I
Like
wanted to mention that the
people and whatever.
planning the heist as well as the training montages.
Yeah.
And then to see that come later in the fight scenes.
Yes, the
Where,
full
where he got
circle.
caught in a headlock and then he caught somebody else in like a headlock.
And also that small and big thing,
Yeah.
the switching, because that's part of why he had to jump to the peephole. It's like, you gotta know, okay, the timing, whatever, but at the same time, when Hope was training him, talk about, when you're small, you've got this strength, but here are the disadvantages when you're like this, and and then he's bringing it into the different fight scenes as well. I think, that was pretty cool. It was like, punch me. And it's like, just, it's pretty cool to watch, but having those funny moments still come in was quite enjoyable. And then, of course, at some point, he has to get the grasp of it. So just see him jump through, and then, he does the thing. He's like shrinks, and then he goes
starts
big.
talking to
and-
the ants.
Yeah, and now he's the one, actually in charge, controlling them and everything. That was pretty cool. And to go back a little bit with, of course, there's an element of Hope trying to prove herself to her dad. And when she then flooded the tea with the sugar, like that just was personification in a sense of her frustration. Because she could have just done, okay, I'm gonna drop the cue in, but it's like, dude, look at how well I can do this. Not just the fact that I can't do this. So why the hell are you still standing in my way? I think that was pretty brilliant. Which is, another dimension to the storytelling here, like all the family dynamics,
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
Of course, we know about the Scott thing, but even the one with Hope and her
Hank
dad.
Hank and
From the get-go, dog, he rocks up and she's like, oh, Hank, and he's like, would it kill you to call me dad?
yeah.
And that immediately tells you, like, ish, there's quite a lot going on here. But even the redemption where that's concerned,
It's like, hey, your mom saved me.
I was literally gonna get to that point, him finally revealing, because mom died in a plane, because like it's bad enough you don't want to tell me the story, but I'm tired of this
I
life.
was 7 when my mom died.
Yeah.
It took 2 weeks, but he never came back. Like,
Dude.
dude, what a line.
So now he's like, fine, let me just reveal this thing and all the other truths coming out and have them pretty much be closer and closer by the end of the movie. I think that was quite dope. That little fight on the train set, I mean, you
Yeah.
can't skip over that, all the things that will go big
It's like,
and go small.
And that was the beauty of this movie, right? It's like, when you go in and zoom in, it's like, it's
massive,
happening.
yeah.
When you zoom out, it's just like,
Even the part where it's like, oh, when the train was hitting the yellow jacket and then it just goes and falls over like a little toy, And then when they had Thomas in the tank engine,
Yeah, and then it would
when they made him big and the eyes are just going, yeah. I also enjoyed that quite a lot. Do we feel we needed more from the Yellow Jacket in particular? I mean, we saw a lot of Darren Cross and all of that.
No, I think Darren Cross made the Yellow Jacket. The Yellow Jacket was a suit. I don't know why I'm quoting there, but you know what I mean. Like
Okay.
the Yellow Jacket is a suit.
Okay.
The person using it is Darren
Is the
Cross,
actual villain. And okay, that's cool. Because on that front, we touched on it a little bit, but he was actually pretty dope in this. Like, he's a kind of a
when he
run-of-the-mill tech
when he
villain.
just
And
killed that one guy in the
Frank,
bathroom.
yes, it's like, no. Look, Frank, are you sure? You know, I know you have concerns. And then when he saw he's not, switching over, it's like, all right, boom. And then he just turns to that little goop, like, that was so disgusting, Even more so than the used tissue that he took, which was already so disgusting. So, which kind of speaks to his sadistic mind if you think about it.
He flushed him down the toilet.
But it also then makes sense when you consider the effect that they said it's having on his brain. You see the deterioration throughout as well. So it's like, So I like that because it was a reason for his psychotic behavior as opposed to, he's just a villain, therefore he must be, So again, the subtleties that, came through here and there, I enjoyed quite a bit in this. The heist itself, the Yellow Jacket heist, and as much as it, kind of sort of failed, but I actually like the execution of it, man. Like, it's of course, sneaking in and getting in via all these nooks and crannies. It's, Michael Pena on his security vibe and no whistling. And then he's there whistling. He's like, no, the boss man told me I was coming. I was like, I'm the boss. Man. Radio to, and then he just clocks it right there.
And that's one hell of a right hook, eh?
Even the other guy that he put that thing to work that day, when they were blowing up the servers, when they were frying the servers, that was pretty cool. And then moving over,
the ants.
Those electrical ants, and then moving over then to the Yellow Jacket itself, just as it's about the tension around the no, not yet. You say not yet, wait, and then the cops come through and they try to arrest the guys and the thingy. It's like, okay, now it's 100%, but he needs to actually activate it, and he's already jumped. And you saw with the whatever he threw first, that thingy got fried. So there's tension building that you have there, great visuals, and so all the elements basically that you want in a true heist. That was pretty cool. Even that little fight scene just after that, when now it's like, the young Mexican standoff and, the gunshots and everything. I enjoyed that quite a bit. And it was a fun dimension to have Darren Cross always be aware of where
like he knew what was
is.
Going on.
Yeah. Because yes, everyone else gets confused, whatever. But like the guy who's trying to build this thing, fine, let's have him actually, be on point. So I enjoyed it. And the stupid little jokes regarding the scaling, like when they were fighting in the suitcase and then he was bouncing off of the phone which played the song, and then they go outside of the suitcase and the song was muffled in there. I'm like, it's stupid, but I actually like it.
Or the bug zapper.
Yeah. When you flew to it and then it zapped him, I'm like, okay. A little on the nose, but man, we'll allow it. That was pretty fun. But it kind of brings me to my point, right? What more then, as far as things to be said? Which again, I don't know, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Because we can't have every movie be, spectacular, over the top.
I think it's a nice palate cleanser.
Perfect. Yeah. Okay.
If it is in between the two big ones, it's a nice palate cleanser.
Yeah. Okay. Then I think in the grander scheme of things, it makes for a nice balance. Then, in other words,
and it also gives you insight into the relationship between. It fleshes out the history of the Avengers and Shield and whatever. Because you've got Hank Pym being part of Shield. And
from the jump. Yes, those little tie-ins I always enjoy, and whenever I see Peggy Carter, it's always so bittersweet because I feel like they should be doing more with her. But I was like, it's a nice reminder as well that she actually does pop up quite a bit across the different movies.
Also, we have to talk about the Avengers compound.
Yeah.
A
That was
little,
my next
little
point.
warehouse in northern New York. Or
Yeah,
up,
even though
upstate New York.
Sam asked us not to talk about it, but yeah, sorry, Sam. Yeah, the little fight between them.
That was a really nice fight.
Yeah. I also enjoyed, but again, it's like, yeah, it was cool, it was chilled. Like,
Yeah.
what more? That's pretty much that. Um, low lights.
Okay, it's a man who turns into an ant, but the being able to shoot ants and exactly the type of ant you want to shoot, because like
Tell me more.
when it was he was chasing Darren to the helicopter,
Yes.
and Darren shot him exactly. It shot Anthony.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, there's like
yes.
hundreds of thousands of ants.
Yes,
like, how do you
yes,
get
yes,
the
yes,
exact
yes.
one?
Yes,
That's a bit unreal. Like in a movie that's very unrealistic.
yeah,
That's one
like,
thing that.
now don't push it.
Yeah.
I agree with you because, in as much as I say I enjoyed that he was aware of Ant-Man and this and that, yeah, there were a few times where they did that. I recall that now. Yeah, Mario wanted, shoot the wings off the fly because they showed the wing itself,
Yeah.
and I'm like, come on, that level of precision now.
You're not Hawkeye, bro.
Yeah, no. You don't have, super 20/20 vision and all of that stuff. So, yeah, anything
so
else?
That one, for me, we talked about the science, but the science also just fell flat a little bit for me because Hank Pym was like, it shortens the space between atoms. So that means, for me, as a scientific brain, where I'm thinking, the space is less, but the mass is the same. So how can you carry a tank into the thing, Because Scott,
especially if it still translates as far as strength.
Yes,
then
because
why not
Scott
mass?
can still punch with the equal force as an ant was with the human. So sorry, that is one thing that hit me.
You see
and
what
it's like,
education is doing now. Okay, touche. I've never thought of that before, but yes, good point. Yeah.
So that was my thing. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
the mass still the same.
Okay, any others?
I think it's just the sciencey ones. Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, I actually don't. For me,
Because I think I appreciated it wasn't like super CGI heavy.
yeah, they made it as practical and as grounded as possible. Yeah, for me, it's not a direct low light per se, but just conceptually the idea of, did I maybe need more, or is it as rewatchable? Is it as, because I feel like it might be on some diminishing returns type of thing.
I can see that.
Yeah, so because again, it is still Ant-Man, and guy shrinks this, that. I enjoyed it a lot the first time around, but I'm like, I don't know about the longevity of it all, especially because I think it was the sequels that gave it more shine than maybe its own strengths and merits.
Yeah.
So that's kind of where I'm at with it. But by no means am I saying, I hated it or I wouldn't watch it again. It's just a little takeaway I can see popping up, time and time again. Any other honorable mentions? Or?
Yeah, I don't know if you picked up on it, but when Sam Wilson was talking to that lady on the bench for the story to that friend, she said we have a guy who jumps, crawls on walls, X, Y, and Z.
Yes.
I'm assuming that's alluding to Spider-Man.
So same for me.
Yeah.
However, I was confused as to whether it's three guys or one. Yeah.
I
got a guy who jumps, a guy who swings, a guy, I can't remember if she said a guy each time or she put it all as, but I remember I kept thinking, okay, crawls up walls, but I'm like, no man, swinging.
Swinging is Spider-Man too.
Yeah, everyone jumps. So it's like, so I remember that. But again, the little seeds, I mean, even one line, I don't remember exactly what it was. I think someone said something about, I've been keeping my, what about Avengers? Because Ant-Man wanted to go to Avengers compound to steal whatever. And he's like, nope, I've been keeping the suit out of Tony's hands for so many years, whatever. And now he's out there blowing up cities and, just that allusion to Sokovia.
Yeah. Part of the universe, but still self-contained.
Yeah, does its own thing. But again, whenever you go back, picking up on those nuggets just never gets old. Were there any other mentions actually about like the world at large? I don't really think so. Is it this one or was it? I feel like it didn't. Oh no, I might be thinking about a whole other universe even. Yeah, where someone basically mentions, no, we're now in a world of this, that. Yeah, no, it was this. A whole other movie. So I think that pretty much then was it for the references. Honorable mention for me is the CGI when they de-aged Michael Douglas. That
Oh,
was
yes.
phenomenal.
Yes.
That was phenomenal.
He looked like when he was in whatever movie. He was
And
acting
that's
in
the thing.
70s.
I'm familiar with him from back then
Yeah.
already. Like, because I mean, he was a major star, so his movies would pop up every now and then. I'm like, yeah, damn. Of course, if you do a side by side, you'll see difference. It's inevitable, but they did a pretty good job, you know. So, yeah. And then I realized they actually did it for the others as well because
Yeah, that other homie.
the other guy, who with the busted nose and all. And when Hank punched Darren, like that look that he gave, was like, yeah, this guy, you better watch your face around him. You know, I saw him clock that in his mind, like, hey, I'm glad it wasn't me this time. Yeah, man. I think, I might be tapped out as far as thoughts that I have on this movie.
It's one of those that is really nice to watch. It's good
Yeah.
fun, and I think we've said what we need to say.
Yeah. Your rating?
7.
7.
7, yeah.
I can see that. Yeah, I think, a soft 7, but 7 nonetheless for me. Yeah. Ranking, no question. It's not cracking the top 5.
List, yeah.
We're still keeping the same list. So we've got Iron Man 1, The Winter Soldier, Avengers 1,
Yeah.
Avengers Age of Ultron, and then Captain America and Guardians of the Galaxy,
Tied
and then,
up,
tied up for number 5. All right, cool.
Cool.
That pretty much brings us to, the end of this episode. Shout out for sticking around, you know. Hit that like, hit that subscribe. Follow us on Instagram, The Phantom Geek Zone. And then we'll catch you at the next one.
All right, yeah, peace.
Peace.